Welcome to the TikTok podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey friends, welcome to a bonus episode of the TikTok podcast. So, you know the moment that you know your show made it big? Well,
No.
it was a rhetorical question. Well, I do. No, you're allowed to talk. It's okay. I told them, see, when you have podcasters on your show, it's hard for them to be quiet because they're used to leading, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I know the day that my show made it big, and it's today.
Stop it.
No, it's today. So when I first started my podcast, I would say things like, James Clear, call me. Marie Forleo, call me. Stephen Covey, call me. Because I knew one day, their people are going to call me. They're going to call me. They're going to be on the show. Well, forget James Clear and Marie and Stephen. I have the girls from the Say It Southern podcast on today, right?
Yes.
So today's the day the show made it big, and I'm super excited. Actually, I am. I'm super honored, Sarah and Courtney, that you, as you're kind of a big deal, and the fact that you are on my show today, and I'm sort of on your show today, it really means a lot. So I want to give just a quick little welcome. I have been legally bound by my friend Dawn Barton.
We love her.
Yeah, enough said, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, my listeners know Dawn, and the gauntlet has been laid because Dawn thinks that her episode has been the most popular and the most downloaded and the most listened to.
Yeah. She's never struggled with confidence.
No.
So I don't know if either one of you are competitive, but I think it's going down today.
It can go down.
It could.
She's been on twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, with both books.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's been in her getaway twice as well, too.
Yeah.
Speaking. So
we'll have to really
favorite. I will say that.
Yes.
But no pressure on y'all because this is just your first time on my show. So if you do a really good job, maybe I'll welcome you back. You can come on twice.
We aim to play.
Welcome back. Anyways, no, I do appreciate my friend Dawn for introducing me to you. I think we're going to have a super fun conversation, a really real conversation, mom to mom, working mom, stay-at-home mom to mom. It's all going to happen today. But I do want to say before I let you guys speak and introduce yourselves that I do want to say how I first met Sarah. So the same friend, Dawn, she says, oh, my friend's in town and our kids are all going to go have lunch at the beach. Do you want to come? And I was like, no, I don't think so.
Not at all. Hot.
Sounds
sandy.
fancy.
Yeah, and I didn't have my kids.
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
like, why on earth would I want to go have lunch?
And we were at a touristy, bucket crab or crabby
Crabs.
Jacks.
Yes, which I never go to because it's so touristy. So I was like, no, I don't think so. And she pauses. She goes, well, Sarah won the Bachelor. And I go, I'm leaving. I'm in the car. I'm on my way.
On the way.
Yeah. So that's how Sarah and I first met. And not that is, your most important accolade, because it's certainly not. But it did draw me to you, Sarah, enough to come meet you. And I'm thankful because we actually had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. And so I want you ladies to tell us a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about the Say It Southern podcast and community that you've created. And before I do, I just want to say I am wearing pearls today because I felt like it was very Southern of me.
So Southern. Yes. Cinnamon pearls, baby.
So Southern. All right. Sarah, Courtney, welcome. And
Thank you.
yeah, tell my listeners a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Sarah. This is Courtney.
Hi.
And we are Say It Southern. I think people are really drawn to Say It Southern, our podcast, because Courtney, we're kind of the yin and the yang. And I've got 3 girls. Courtney has 2 boys. I work full-time out of the house. Courtney works in the home. And then she also does a lot of freelance work. So we're both just two busy moms, just trying to, get through the week.
Yeah.
But we both are just busy people. And when we started this, I was about to turn 40 at the time. That was 5 years ago now. And wow, time is flying. And I just really wanted something kind of to do for myself, and also something that I could show my three girls, like, hey, this is something that I'm wanting to do, and I'm going to try to figure out a way to make it happen. And if it fails, it fails. If it succeeds, it succeeds. Either way, it's a win-win as a mom. And so when I had this idea going, I reached out to Courtney, and I was like, you can't do it by yourself, and I've got to have somebody funny and witty and charismatic and all the great things, and a hard worker. And that to me was Courtney for sure. And so when I reached out to Courtney, she was like, oh, I'm all in.
Let's do
it.
Yes.
Yes. And we were at lunch and we came up with the name that day, just sitting there and just started brainstorming. And we both our minds just started going, and it just quickly evolved. And that was in 2019 when we first started. And then COVID hit. We were going with the podcast in 2020. And that's how our community just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
People were at home. They were listening to us. They were waiting to hear our story about the week of homeschooling. I threw an iPad down the stairs one time. I think that's been the hit of the podcast, because, for so long, it was just such like this. I never had even cussed in front of my kids. And then here we were in COVID, and it was like, I'm throwing down the stairs, cussing everybody, had to get out, and we were so honest about all that on the podcast. And I think that's what really drew people in as a community. And we've just grown from there. And now we're doing events and getaways and all kinds of things.
So, and we are going to, by the way, we are going to talk about that. We are going to, I have a feeling that throughout our chat today that everyone's going to want a little bit more of you. So we'll tell them where to find you, how to do the getaway. And really, at the end of the day, Sarah, it is about being real. And I feel like as a mom, we talk about modeling a lot of things, right? Like kindness or generosity or whatever. But at the end of the day, modeling being transparent and authentic and hard work, that's something too that I want to model for my kids. Okay, so we've got the wingman, Courtney.
Hey, that's right. Every Batman needs a Robin.
Exactly. Wingman.
The yin and the yang, the peanut butter and the jelly, the sun and the share. That's what Don always likes to say. So, Courtney, what's your perspective on all this?
Oh gosh. Well, we both have such similar backgrounds, but we're also very different. Sarah's a shower person. I'm a bath. She's texting me at 5:45. I'm texting her at 11:30 p.m. It just has always worked. And we were talking the other day about how we are coming up on 5 years, and we're like, gosh, the journey has been beyond what we ever thought. And we did through COVID. We just decided we're just going to quarantine together, and whoever gets it, we'll just get it and whatever. And so we do our best to sit apart, but it was pretty much like this. And I had a background in communication, PR, event planning, and a little bit of radio sprinkled in there too. And Sarah obviously has her reality TV experience, and she's always camera ready. Don't worry about that. So I'm over here like blotting and doing, and she's ready for the camera all the time. So it's a functional marriage is what it feels like, because we have done a lot and been through a lot. And stuff happens in 5 years. Your lives change, people come in, people go, and navigating teen years. We've just done a lot together, but Say It Southern has been there through all of it, because we've shared it all right here online. Like you said, we've lived it out with everybody. And so it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's kind of like therapy, right? Because sometimes you got to get it out. Sometimes you got to bounce it off. I don't know if you guys are external processors like my friend Dawn, or internal processors like me, but we need each other. At the end of the day, we need each other. And that's, I think, what your community has done too. So, all right. This podcast, the essence of it is time management for busy moms. Okay. Well, the deal is time management.
We're on why?
I'm like,
why are we on here?
I should be listening to this.
Would you like to subscribe and listen to my podcast?
Immediately.
Okay. So even though there's some really pretty planners out there, and I'm sure as good Southern girls, you do like a nice little pretty planner and a fancy pen, but it's not really about that. It's about energy management and emotional management. So how, I guess I would just say, not perfectly, but maybe on a good day or when you're like, I give myself a gold star. How do you either plan out a week or how do you balance all the things? I mean, is there balance? So, knowing both of you have a little bit of a different perspective, what does that look like for you? When you're feeling in the zone, is there anything that's working or clicking that you found? Or you could say like, no, it's just a hot mess express. That's fine
Mhm.
too.
That's always a hot mess express. But I do feel like just to be present and kind of live in the moment, if you can remind yourself of that a lot, because I do feel like when we start thinking about the past, what's happened, that kind of leads you into a slump of depression. When you're looking towards the future, it starts building up anxiety of like, what have I got to do? What's happening? How am I going to get this done? And so by just living in the moment and not trying not to compare yourself to other people and where they're headed and what they're doing and where they're being successful and you're not, just kind of staying in your own lane. I think that's pretty helpful for me kind of on a just a daily basis. I'm not saying it's easy, but I try to live in the moment. When I start feeling that overwhelming sensation of like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through the week. I can't believe this has happened to me, my life, like all the things.
Okay, so I talk Sarah off the ledge in those moments
Mhm,
because on Sunday for me, I kind of look at my week, or I'm constantly knowing what's coming up. We have a family calendar that's on the inside of my closet door, and we've had this long and hard, fast rule in my family that if it's not on the family calendar, you're not obligated to be there. And so, like, if Jason will pop up and go, "Oh, I've got a fishing deal on Saturday," and I'm like, is it on the calendar? I mean, not that I'd pull him from fishing, but I'm like, you got to help me run these kids everywhere. So, I like to know what's coming down the pipe because I'm not. I've got to prepare. Like Sarah's good, on the fly, and I'm like, I need a minute to get this bag ready, and then I'll come in and switch. I like a system. So I like to know, I drop kids at 5, then I pick up the next one and we're out the door. And then I got to meet with this person. And, she's good about that because I think it works differently because our schedules are different. She's got, a full-time job. And so she has windows and pockets of time where I'm freelancing and, working from home. And so it can really be overwhelming to me because I can be, on a Zoom call and then need to change the towels into the dryer and I get overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's hard to separate.
Yeah,
when you're living like
it's
that,
hard to
working like that.
separate. So I have to carve out some specific moments to really nail myself down.
I completely resonate with both of you. And I just finished a series on entrepreneurs and time management and momtrepreneurs or mompreneurs, whichever one you want to pick. And you're so right, Courtney. It's like our hats. It's not that we're switching hats all the time. It's that we have all the hats on
Yeah.
at all times, right? Because we're at home. Therefore, sometimes it might appear that we're available when we really have other things going on. Sarah, I had a guest on one time that said, look down at your feet. And so, of course, look down at my feet. And she says, be there. Like wherever your feet are, be there.
Yeah. Great
I
advice.
love that
Mhm.
because for me, as a driven person or as a person that there's always a to-do list that's 1,000, and it feels good to cross one off, but then there's 10 more that come on. I
Yeah.
needed that.
I feel that.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Mhm.
good advice.
Mhm.
I needed that. And especially, we're recording in the summer. We all have kids. We've got a lot going on and it can really, different seasons can be more challenging than others. So, I saw something somewhere recently that said like slow down summer. Like easier said than done. But if at least a couple of times a day I look down at my feet, I'm like, just Callie, just be here
Yeah.
right in this moment. Isn't that good?
That's real
Mhm.
good.
And then Courtney, I'm gonna like shamelessly shout out to my Sunday brain drain that I do. Yeah. And the download's available in the show notes. But same thing. I have to get it all out of my head on Sundays so that I
Mhm.
can kind of bird's eye view it and at least have some semblance of a plan. So right there with you on both of those things. Okay. So for both of you, with having certain priorities. So obviously work is a priority, family is a priority. Do you ever have time for yourself or to fill yourself up? Is that even a possibility? Like, how do you take care of yourself?
I'm better at that than Sarah is.
Yeah, I am
and
not
it's
good at that.
something that I ride her like Seabiscuit about, because I'm like, you've got to make time for yourself. You've got to do this. And I mean, let me tell you about this girl. So we live half a mile apart, and so I do a lot of things in her neighborhood, and I can time it when she is walking the block. But you know what? She's walking the block so fast that those elbows are swinging and that ponytail's popping. And I mean, I'm like, is she sprinting? Is she running? The other day she was in a full sprint.
What is in a full sprint?
And she doesn't sprint. So, I roll my white SUV right up in there, and I'm like, we good? Everybody good? And she's like, I gotta be somewhere in 5 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, of course you do. And you decide to run 1.5 miles right before you have to be somewhere.
I was running late. I was sprinting home.
Yeah. And it's starting to rain. I'm like, this is poor planning.
I feel really seen right now.
So what you're saying is that Sarah needs a minute to herself. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yes.
Sarah.
If she could just get the walk in and enjoy the walk, like we don't have to be, we're not in a mall walking competition. Like, just
if we were, I'd win though.
Honey, she'd win. She'd be the spokesperson. Her name would be on a cereal box, the whole thing. But go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, I'm feeling a little called out here too, because I do walk every day, but I work while I walk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe one time I should just enjoy my
yeah.
walk. Is that kind of what you're?
I do. Yeah.
Phone up and just lay.
Well, for me, I mean, I do have a tendency to get overwhelmed, and I can feel crushed in real fast. And so that is just something that I made a priority a long time ago. I mean, I was going to a therapist and counselor, and that's just one of the areas that we said, hey, you've got to have this to keep all the plates going. You got to have this. And so I joined HotWorks, and that's not a big box that you get into sweat. So you can't do that with a lot of people. So it kind of feels like me time. And then the walking, and then trying to really, when I'm doing things for myself, even stupid stuff like getting your nails done or whatever, it's like, be right there and enjoy that, rest if you can, and then hit it when you walk out the door.
That's good advice. I need
Tell
to
about yourself.
It's not that, but I am in a leadership class right now, and I had our last class a couple weeks ago. He said for us to think about your top 3 priorities, and then be honest with yourself, and think about what they actually are. Like, what are your 3 priorities in life? And most people said, God, family, work.
Yeah.
And that sounds great. But when you go and you dig deep and you think about what really are my priorities, like my number 1 priority, and I'm being really honest here, was providing for my girls. Like, that's my number 1 priority. Like, that's so wrong. But when I was honest with it, and I think about that all the time, it just really kind of hit home. I was like, God, I've got to change some things, because if that's my number 1 priority, when I get home, like, what are my girls seeing?
Yeah.
And they're just seeing me stressed out, like trying to work, trying to hustle, trying to get everything done so that I can, get them to practice and get food on the table and do all these things. Like, that is
survival mode.
And I've got to get out of that. So that was kind of eye-opening for me.
Well, it's funny. It goes back to what you said at the very beginning about modeling for your kids and modeling for your daughter or your daughters. And one other conversation I had with a guest, we sort of stumbled upon this concept of capital P priorities and lowercase p priorities. Because sometimes I think we have them mixed up, or we try to make all of them capital P or all, right?
Yeah.
But today, and yours don't have to be mine don't have to be yours. You don't have to owe it to any, and they might change. They might be fluid depending on different seasons of your life. So to really take a moment and say, what is my capital P priority today or right now? Right?
Yeah. In event planning, kind of how it has always worked is, following that model of I mean, that's on a timeline. Every event you do is on a timeline, but it typically works big things to little things, mountains and molehills, big piece to little piece. And, just say that we're doing a festival. You've got to book the acts. You've got to order the stage. You've got to have the venue, the big things, and then little things. And honestly, I kind of model my life like that and our home life like that, because the big things are just going to be the big things. Like there's nothing you can do about it. You got to provide for them. They got to eat. They got to get to practice, so there are things that have to be that. So you have to put your energy there. But at the same time, if you're making, something that'll, maybe a dinner, or you're making a birthday party, and not that they're not important. Those things are important. But if that's becoming a big thing, we got to look and see what's out of whack.
So it's kind of like that analogy of the jar. Remember where like the teacher puts in the big rocks first,
Yeah.
then the little ones. Yeah, and then the other things too. But if we don't put the big rocks in, we can't fit them in there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So Sarah, you like your life right now, having a job outside the home, and then of course having your full-time job with your kids. Is there anything that you've noticed that really helps you to be able to compartmentalize those things? How do you
A lot of
or
questions.
maybe you don't. Again, these questions could be, there's no right answer
Mhm.
and there's no perfect answer here
Yeah.
either. So, but sometimes we've got a gift we can give somebody else, if just something small that we do that can be helpful.
Well, I do think I've started to notice things that trigger me and pay attention to that as well. Because I am always running. We have 17 clinics across West Tennessee. So I'm always kind of on the go, running from this clinic to that clinic, to this appointment, to this call, to come do the podcast, to go pick up the girls. It's just a constant go, 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 go. And I like to be on time, but you can't always be on time when you're going like this. And so for me, I even noticed it today to record is, speed limit's 40 and I'm behind somebody going 30 miles an hour. And I mean, I am like gripping and I can feel my blood start to boil and I just can feel that stress. And I'm like, why am I there's nothing I can do about this.
Yeah.
And then, so I have to find my place of like, well, maybe they'll turn left. Maybe they'll turn in this driveway up here. And they never do. I'm just like, oh, clearly we're going to the same location because I'm now behind them for 25 minutes, and it's making me late.
And rural West Tennessee. So it's usually a tractor.
Yes. So I do feel like kind of knowing, I mean, that's just one trigger. Everybody's got triggers in their life, but I think kind of knowing and being aware of things that trigger you and kind of bring on that stress and anxiety and kind of being able to recognize that and let it go. There's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you could do about it. And my daughter, so I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son who, by the way, is just starting to drive. So he may be the one going 30 miles an hour.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking deep breaths behind you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But there was a child therapist that came to my daughter's school, and he was helping these teenagers navigate these triggers and emotions. And he said for you to write whatever it is that's triggering you, to write it down and put it away and come back to it in 5 days and see if it still matters.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't typically matter in 5
Right.
days, right?
Yeah.
So why are we getting all worked out? I know, easier said than done. Okay, so Courtney, as I mentioned, I just finished an series on entrepreneurs. So we've got the pendulum swings over here, right? You could work 24 hours a day. You could be on call for whoever needs you. How do you have boundaries for your time, for your work? Is there anything that works, doesn't work for your
This is
situation?
where Courtney is really working, because this is the yin to the yang here, because I feel like she does a horrible job with this. She can't say no. She can't.
By the way, neither one of you side messaged me and said, call out my girl. Okay, this is just
No. This is who we are. This is who we are. We live to go, here's an area where you could grow. Instead of going, you're really bad at this. But for a long time, I have been, I was a yes person because I thought I could do everything, and and somebody, wiser than me said, you can do it all. You can't just do it all at the same time. And so that is kind of a motto that I looked at until, with every phase, right? It just gets more complicated with kids. And then we're adding this, and then, where I'll pick up a gig or I'll pick up something, and then I have to readjust my time. And so it's constantly turning over, where, some people's days look the same. They leave at a certain time, they come home at a certain time. I'm constantly turning over that calendar. And I've really worked at saying, to me, it's not no, it's just not my best yes. Like if I can't fully say yes to something, and I'll notice my trigger is going, yeah, I only gave 50% on that, and I won't take it. Like if I can't give 100%, I've gotten to the point where I won't take it. And my 100 is all in. I mean, it's all in. And so, I can't just, half do everything, because nothing feels done to me at that point. And so it's something I'm working on. And, I usually 2 days a week, I'm like, okay, I'm Say It Southern today. And Sarah could tell when she's like, she's working today, girl, because DMs will start coming and emails will start coming, and I'll start texting her. But then like, we've got a golf tournament on Thursday. And I have boys, their activities, they're all day. And so, they have a golf tournament in Memphis, or we've got All-Stars, and, so it is constant, and my husband, he works morning to night, and then he comes in at a certain time, and we go about our life. And so all the running, I'm doing, like typical mothers, we're doing. And so, is that what you would, did you comment any to that? Would you say that's fair?
That's very fair. And I do think you're getting better at it too.
Yeah. Sarah she does encourage me.
Yeah. Just say no. Just say no. I learned that from Nancy Reagan. Just say no.
I did too back in the day. Thank you, Nancy, for that. Something that I have been working on and embracing is, first of all, that no is a complete statement or a complete sentence, right? But I heard this and I loved it. And I'll just say it like this, because this is more PG, but it's called the yes, darn effect, or the no, yay effect, which is, if I say yes to this right now, when the time comes for me to have to do it or be there or whatever, will I say, darn it?
Yeah.
Right? So if that's going to happen, I'd be like, oh, why did I commit to that? Or why did that, then maybe that's not a yes for me.
Yeah.
Right? I just thought that was a really good perspective. Like, how is my future feelings going to feel about this? And if it is too much and it's overwhelming, then let me save myself from that.
Yeah. And one thing that works for me is knowing that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And so what am I saying no to be able to say yes? Because you just, again, you can do it all. You just can't do it at the same time. So
no. And I want to shout out to your podcast. I've been listening to some of the episodes. My favorite, I think her name's Ashley. She's the dessert maker, tablescape girl, who got to do Kathy Hilton.
She's unreal.
That was a fantastic episode. You guys have to listen to that one. But her yes was like absolutely yes. And it was a little chaotic and a little crazy. I won't give it away. You guys have to go listen to their episode. But yeah, yeses like that are for sure yeses. But those don't come along that frequently, right? Yeah. Okay, so yes to this is a no to that, and vice versa. I don't think my listeners will forgive me, Sarah, if I don't at least make you say something about The Bachelor.
Let's dive in.
You know that's coming. I mean, I would not be doing my job if I didn't.
That's right.
Also, is it episode 7 or 8?
I don't know. We may need to go back and I don't know if you can pull it up still. Can you?
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah, if you go to our site, all of our episodes are listed under our podcast. But episode 7 or 8, I want to think it's 7 because you were on season 8.
Yeah,
honey, I go all in. I ask all the questions you want to know and hear, and it was fun. That was fun to dive into that. So just a little,
yeah. So just give us the appetizer version, the little, and then they can go deep dive.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to think of like where to even begin. Probably I'm just thinking of like most asked questions that I get. was it scripted? Is it real? And the answer is, it is all real. Everything I did, I said it. I was there. It's not scripted, but it is edited. So, and I was working for them too. So near the end of it, I knew what I needed to say, how to say it, where to stand, where to sit, get that like little jab in, make sure I say Travis and how amazing he is, so that we could wrap it up, because, everybody's ready to go home. And so I kind of played into that a lot too. And let me think, what else?
Well, I mean,
Like,
your
you can
episode,
even ask me the question.
I know,
mean,
your episode was in Paris.
Everywhere we go, Courtney's like,
I'm like, let me just handle this.
Courtney, can you just take over? Here, I'm going to scooch out of the way and take over.
Okay, Sarah, tell us a little bit about the show. People ask all the time, did you make strong relationships with the girls?
Yes, the girls, we all got along. It was great. Chris Harrison was awesome. I did enjoy him. Do I keep in touch with Travis? No, I do not.
And it didn't work. Spoiler alert, it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out. But he is happily married. He's got 2 little children now. So we did stay in touch quite a bit when I was in Nashville still, but now as time has gone on and I'm in a different city, we just don't run into each other. We're not running in the same crowds anymore. So
would it be awkward if you ran into each other?
Not now, but I've had some awkward moments with him for sure. For sure. I was out one night and he was with his now wife. So I probably feel bad. Well, he's not going to listen to this.
He's too busy recording The Doctors.
That's right. He's got his own TV show. He's in LA. But we were
we're not that big yet here on my show.
Not yet.
Okay? We're getting there. We're getting there, but we're not that big. Yeah, he's not listening.
Yeah. We did have an awkward run-in. This was a couple years ago in Nashville, and I had sat down with some girlfriends of mine, and we were talking about girls that were wearing, the short shorts. This is when all the cutoffs, and I was like, gosh, that's so gross. They're sitting down on these seats and these bar stools, and
you need a Sandy wipe.
Yeah. Like, is it safe for me to sit down? Like, I don't know. It's just it's just gross. So of course we sit down, and this gentleman sits down next to me. Of course, we're in a French restaurant too. How ironic. And a girl sits down across from me. She's diagonal from me. And so she crosses her legs, and I'm like, oh, well, I see she's in the short shorts. So I'm like, well, here's one of these girls sitting next to her, and I'm going to have a view of this the whole dinner. How about this, ladies? So we start laughing and giggling about it. Well, then one of my friends says, gosh, that guy looks like Travis. And so I can't even look over, and I'm like, he does look a lot like Travis, but I mean, he's with this young girl. Like, there's no way. Travis is older than I, like, this is not. So, y'all don't tell him about this episode.
I promise he's not listening.
So anyway, it was just an awkward dinner because we start talking about The Bachelor at this point, talking about Travis, and it's just 2 of my girlfriends. And then all of a sudden, one of my girls says, oh, Sarah, like, she's like, look at the text. She sent a text message to all of us, and she's like, it is Travis. Abort mission, like everyone. And I'm like, get the check. Let's get out of here. Like, all the things. So of course the check comes, and then we're like super awkward. I mean, I was beet red, and we're all like, well, this was a lovely dinner. How about this? And so the check comes, he gets the check, and I'm like, we got to get out of here quickly. So of course we all stand up at the same time. And I just had to turn to him, and it was like, oh, surprise. Like, I didn't see you sitting there, So we do like a really awkward.
Travis?
Oh,
Travis?
Is that you?
Who is this? Is this your niece? Is this?
You brought your babysitter to dinner?
Oh, that would have been really good.
So anyways, as we're walking out, we're all headed to the exit. A friend of mine says, Sarah, shall we have a drink in the bar while we wait for our Uber? Like, so awkward. And I was like, great idea.
Yes,
we shall. So we go to the bar. Bye, Travis. And this couple was sitting at the bar, and they were like, wow. You girls get a round of shots on us. That was the most awkward meal. We watched the whole thing happen. We watched you come in, sit down, then we watched him come in with that little girl and sit down.
They got the whole show. It was dinner and a show for them. Dinner and a show for sure.
And a show. But yeah, that's the last time I ran into him.
Did you keep the ring?
I do have the ring. I'm one of the only contestants that still has the ring.
Hot tech.
Yes.
That's our girl. That's our girl.
So now they do give it back. And that is because of Travis. When the show wrapped, we had kind of like a wedding reception is what I like to compare it to, because we finished wrapping, we come in, we cut the cake, we had a DJ, it was all the things.
Oh.
And then they sent us off to kind of like what you would think of as like a honeymoon. We were in this hotel room, we couldn't leave, it was the two of us. And that's when I was like, well, nice to meet you. Okay, I'm Sarah, you're Travis.
So you didn't feel like you knew him?
No, not really. Just surface knew him, because of the show. And you could only film, we was never alone with him ever. So every time I had any sort of interaction with Travis, there were people around, cameras around, we were on, no downtime with just Travis until now. Days of this. So anyway, they called up to the room and said, hey, we're going to come get the ring. And Travis said at that moment, he said, absolutely not. Like, I gave her that. She's taking it with her. And he was like, if you give them that ring, you'll never see that again. And so they agreed to let me keep the ring, and it went back to Nashville with me. And so because of him, I still have the ring. Of course, they wanted it back. They were threatened, but then they started threatening to sue me, and I got to get attorneys involved.
This is where things take a turn.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this is the dark side of The Bachelor.
This is not the fun stuff, but it's the dark side. But anyway, I had an attorney, had to get involved, and they basically said, it's yours. It's been in your possession. Travis gave it to you. Just let them come. Let Mike Fleiss and Next Productions and ABC come sue the sweet little kindergarten teacher in Nashville. Like, we're ready. And so,
girl,
let me alone. They let me keep the ring.
Tea, honey. We spilling tea up in the TikTok.
I am here for it.
But it's funny because now I'm like, why did I fight so hard for the ring? I don't know. Like, what am I? I can't wear it.
I know we really need to do something fun with it.
But I just kind of felt like one day reality TV would be over and the Bachelor would be history, and my children and my grandchildren would be like, what was this show you were on? And I would have this ring to show them. But here we are.
I feel
reality TV is not going anywhere. Clearly the Bachelor's not either. So
I feel like, what are you going to do with the ring, Sarah?
Yeah, what do you do with it?
That's a good question. I have a feeling Courtney will come up with a great idea. I guess.
Yeah.
And there's so much of the story about how you even got on the show. And I'm sure, because I've heard that is in your episode, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So everybody go listen, check it out. You're going to love it. And
yes, there's a lot of fun to it too. Not just the dark. I feel like I just gave you a really,
no, it's good.
Done. No, it's good. No, honestly, that's the part us girls want to hear too. We want to hear the good and the bad and the ugly and everything in between. That's why we watch. No, I love it. And as I mentioned at the beginning, knowing a little bit more about you, and now meeting my friend Courtney and knowing about you, everybody's going to want to gather around. So tell us a little bit about how they can be part of the getaway and your podcast and how they can connect with you.
Well, I think the best thing to do is to follow us on Instagram. That's our main platform, and it's the Say It Southern. And there you can follow along with our new episodes that are coming out, our stories, what we're up to. Right now we're working on the getaway, getting ready for that, the end of September in Fairhope, Alabama. We still have tickets available. So you can get that on our website, which is thesayitsouthern.com. That's probably the easiest way for people to connect, but we would love for people to come to the getaway.
Yeah.
I mean, Courtney's been working. You want to tell them about what all we got going on? She's been working real hard on the getaway this year.
Yes. Oh man. Well, it's our 5th year. And so we had 2 years that we were on 30A, the beaches of 30A. And then we changed to Fairhope 2 years ago. And that's just been such a blessing that we really didn't know what to expect, just kind of went on a whim. And they literally, I don't know a more quintessential Southern town than Fairhope. And they just invited us in, ate us up, want a partner, want to get involved. They want to sponsor breakfast. They want to put stuff in our swag bags. They want to be a part. And not only, them locally, but as this has grown in 5 years, national brands want to be a part of what we're doing. And because it is such a niche. Because I always say this, I was like, if you're weird enough to go to mom camp in September with 50 people you don't know, like we're all going to like the same things, So it's really such a targeted market for anybody that's looking to grow a brand, or if they just want to come and meet people that are like you, pretty normal with this, let's just slice of crazy that booked a ticket like that. But it's amazing to see the collaborations of people and the relationships. You can read that in my bio online. I'm a huge connector networker. That's one of my favorite things is put the puzzle pieces together. And then, and Say It Southern and the getaway have really been that, every time we see a collaboration roll out online, we're like, they met because of us.
Did you see?
Yeah. They met because of us. And it really,
Oh, so the relationships that you get to see blossom. I get
yeah.
it.
And I will say, for our followers and the people that are engaged audience, is that it has grown very organically. We've never paid to get in this list or this person, or, it has just been tell your friends, colleagues, my wife listens, her, all this. That's how our viewership has grown. And so the people that come on the getaway and that are engaging with us in our stories and our Instagrams, that's the dream team. That's the what do you call it? The street team, the street, street marketers for us, basically.
Yeah. What is that called? What is that called? It's not called the street. Now that's gonna.
I know, street team.
Word on the street. Word of mouth. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I know. I used to know because of country music. I
know. We're gonna wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, everybody's gonna think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the moms have to pee in the middle of the night, we'll wake up and remember. Mom camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Enough said. Mom camp. So obviously we'll link to all that in notes and the show notes. You guys have time to check it out. So the last question, it's a bonus. I have a gift for both of you. And it's not a real gift yet, but as a good Southern girl, you'll get at least a thank you note in the mail. Okay. But the gift is the gift of the idea of one bonus hour. You don't have to answer for it. It doesn't come out of your 24 hours. You can do whatever you want to with it. So what would each one of you do with the gift of an extra hour?
Ooh.
I mean, my first inclination, I said, my immediate, sleep, because I love and I prioritize sleep. But man, I would love another hour of daylight.
Yeah.
I would like an hour with nothing going on.
I was going to say, I'd like an hour of nothing to do, no phone, maybe even nobody around. I'm trying to be like, oh, I'd love to spend some time with my girls.
But really, I need the hour.
But really, I would like to just sit on my back porch with the fan going, and just zen out, just nothing. No book, no podcast, no music, maybe some music playing, and then that's it.
Oh, see, I couldn't sit by myself like that. I could.
It would be hard, but
yeah. I'd love a book. I don't care about my phone, but I'd love a book.
I just want music playing and just nothing.
Yeah.
Well, the next part of the gift is, I hope and pray that within the next week or two that you do find that hour.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Again, just like everything else we've been talking about, easier said than done, but truly having some intention and being able to do that. You deserve it.
Thank you.
It. Yeah.
What would you do with an hour?
Oh, well, see, this is what happens when podcasters are on a show.
Question.
What's funny is every time I ask that, I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do too. So it changes. Mine is usually solitary as well, which I love my husband, I love my kids. But I think I'm better when I have a little recharge. So mine would, I live on Pensacola Beach now, not far from Fairhope, right down the road.
Come on, girl.
And you got me at mom camp there and some street situation. I don't know, whatever that is. But I think it would probably be being by myself on the beach with something to sip on, maybe my book.
Yes.
And you're right, Sarah, I would need to leave my phone at home because it would be too tempting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, girlfriends, it has been a wonderful
so fun.
Thank y'all for being on. And I want everybody to go check out the Say It Southern podcast. Go check out the website, all the things. And you know what? I think that this was good enough that there may be another invitation back at some point in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You tell Dawn I said that. It's on. It's on.
You clearly have plenty to say. So all you have to do is ask.
Courtney, when you said ride it like Seabiscuit, you had my heart.
Always here for the content.
She is.
You did. And if it's weird or not, I even wrote it down on my notes. Bride likes to. Just kidding.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Watch that.
on that note, thanks you guys for listening. We'll see you next
Enjoyed
time.
it so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.